Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. Saka here with another episode of Saka Speaks On, and this week I would like to talk about something that will definitely impact my channel, something that I'm pretty stoked about. Being a Kerbal Space Program teacher, my tutorial series has been pretty popular, and I've gained some subscribers for sure for doing Kerbal Space Program. The recent news that Kerbal Space Program is now coming out with a DLC. Now, this is not an update that is going to be for everyone. This will be an officially released downloadable content entitled Making History. Now, I feel a good DLC is something that adds to a game, but it isn't necessary to get the full experience of a game, and certainly this is some good additions that you personally do not need in order to have a complete experience. And in fact, as some people have stated, mods do some of this stuff already. So for people like me that don't play with mods, who doesn't like to have a big file in Kerbal Space Program, this is right up my alley. Now, one concern that people have brought up is if you purchased the game before March 2013 and you were an early access supporter, there was a dev blog that said you can get this DLC for free. Now, the question is, will we get that for free? Are they going to keep their word, or was that said in a moment in their development that they didn't exactly know what DLC was going to be at that time? And now we have a pretty clear picture, and I'm on their website here, and it says it's going to come with two big things called the Mission Builder and the History Pack. First of all, the Mission Builder puts the process of creating and editing missions in your hands. And the way I see this working is that you make your own contracts. You set your own goals. Much like the game in its engine would create new contracts for you. It would give you a body to visit. It would give you an altitude to achieve. It would give you a part requirement or a power requirement. You can physically set those yourself. At least that's what it sounds like. So you can share these missions with your friends and be very specific and say, well, I always wanted to have a satellite in a 200 by 100,000 orbit around the moon in a polar orbit, let's say. So you could do that. You could make that mission yourself and put it on, say, the Steam Workshop or on their forums or wherever they're going to have this placed. And this is a pretty good addition for people that, would like to be challenged, who maybe perhaps sees YouTubers and say like Das Valdez or even Scott Manley, if he takes the time to make his own mission so people can say, I have done the Scott Manley mission, or I have done the Kerbal Space Academy missions, let's say. And I think that's pretty good to get people involved in the community and to do to replicate what those great players have done. The next part that I'm really excited about is the Making History expansion, which will recreate history. It says here, players will be able to experience the trials and tribulations of the early days of space exploration on missions inspired by real-life historical events. And what would really be cool, and what I'm hoping for, is if you are replicating Apollo 11, give us the Saturn V. Give us a rocket that resembles like real life, like sort of NASA worked with Kerbal Space Program on that asteroid grabber claw. Give us the actual rocket to play with. How cool would that be? And people are surmising that maybe Apollo 13, with its failure during its TLI and having to get back to Kerbin with just, say, your RCS thrusters and no engines, that might be pretty cool. And I'm pretty stoked about that. Also, new parts, new fuel tanks, adapters, decouplers, fairings, command pods inspired by American and Soviet space programs. So both the, say, the Sputnik or the command capsule from a Saturn V may make its way, which is pretty cool. Also, the Kerbal Personal Parachute, and I know there's a mod for this. But it's really cool for people like me who don't want to install mods and clog up their Kerbal Space Program to be able just to save my Kerbals, to parachute down out of harm's way, and that might be pretty cool. And it also goes back to the challenging other players, the concept of scoring. At the end of the mission, you will get a numerical score to compare with your friends in the community. So it's not just setting a mission and then completing it. You get points for, say, your efficiency, how much fuel you have left, or how much fuel you've used, or how perfect the orbit is, how perfect the eccentricity is. So that's pretty exciting. I want to see how I stack up and see if I'm as good as I think I am at Kerbal Space Program, although I'm certainly not the best, and the numbers that someone like Das Valdez or Scott Manley can put up will be quite a tall peak to surmount, but I'm looking forward to it. So the big question for me, am I going to get it? As an early adopter, am I going to get it for free or am I going to pay for it? And speaking of pay, how much is this going to be? So a person can choose to buy the DLC or not, and what that is worth to the person is on a person-by-person basis. Some people in the forums, and I tend to agree with this, says that maybe the Paradox interactive model would be good. So when they update this, say, just give everyone the parachute, but not give everyone, say, the new parts or something like that. Something to wet your whistle, to get you interested in the new stuff, or let them compete in the challenges, but not create the challenges, let's say, or vice versa. Have you make challenges, but not be able to compete unless you have the DLC. Something that you can sort of be involved in the new stuff, and if you want to make that additional purchase to go all the way, you can. Personally, I think DLC should be priced at a percentage of the base game that adds to. So if this is, say, a 15 or 20% upgrade to Kerbal Space Program, if you can get 20% more gameplay, let's say, out of the missions, or just 10%, then charge that much. So a $30 game, you get 10 to 15%. A $4.99 price tag would be right on the money. Now, if there is a lot of extra parts that are very unique and very cool looking, or if, say, NASA wants a cut, hey, you're using our rockets, you're using, our stuff, give us a little bit of some kickback, then that may drive the price of the DLC up. I'm not in the squad finance department. I don't know how those work. Maybe NASA is generous to just say, yeah, go for it. We're not going to charge a thing. We want people to learn. And I think that'd be the way NASA would go. But I'm really excited about the DLC, and I will get it whether or not I get it for free or pay, because I feel that Squad has developed a really amazing game over the last 4 years, and I haven't had to pay any more than the initial $15 that I paid, and I got way more than $15 out of it for sure. So an additional 5 or even 10 is no sweat for me. And how you feel about that is on you, but rest assured that when these come up, I will bring them to the channel. I will show off these new parts. I may even make a mission for you to try at home, and I'm excited to try those missions, to replicate real life, because one of the cool things about Kerbal Space Program is doing the real world stuff and saying, hey, I can make Apollo 11 too, or I had a disaster like Apollo 13 and I made it back as well. That'll be the real cool stuff that I'm really looking forward to. As a side note, if you watched this far, you may be one of my 330 subscribers, so thank you so much for 300. I haven't got a chance to speak to you one-on-one about 300 yet. I've been busy with LEGO Worlds and No Man's Sky and NASCAR Racing 2003 season, but I want you to know that I did see 300, and I'm really, really stoked for it. We're a third of the way there to 400 based on the 300 numbers, and I'm really excited to get to 400 and perhaps even 5. Who knows? But I promise to continue making good stuff, to continue on with the series that I have now and introduce some new stuff to the channel. And as I said in Kerbal Career, when new updates come out, they will be on this channel. I'm all about the base game and what can people get right out of the box. What can people play with instantly with the game, and how to use it. So that's what I'm really going to be focused on with this new DLC. There is no price or date announced yet. Hopefully we'll hear more about that soon. But that's going to do it for me in this video. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. Like, share, and subscribe if you are so bold, and I will see you in the next Saka Speaks On video. Take care. You. Yes, you. The type of person who goes to the very end of the video. Thank you. Now, seriously, I wanted to see who is paying attention now that I've gotten up to the 300 subscribers. I know there are some fans out there who follow my content and watch the videos I make. So if you have seen this message, go ahead and in the comments below, type what was the first video you've seen on my channel, or what was one video that got you really excited to see. That way I know you've stuck it out to the end. So, once again, thank you so much for tuning in. Take care.